Okay, so I did a interview with one of my managers at Mellow Mushroom. He became a manager about a year ago, whenever the West Cobb store opened up, right past the West Cobb. It's in Marietta, and it's right past the West Cobb Avenues, and there was Sprouts. I would describe his leadership style as one that is very path goal theory. He wants to push people, employees, to do the best that they can. He uses a leadership style that best meets pertaining to the employee. For instance, he can be more lax with people when he's known them longer because he knows he can trust them to get their job done without having to ask them more than once. For others, he has to be more strict because he doesn't yet know whether or not that they'll do everything that they're supposed to, so he feels the need that he has to, check on them a few times. I would say he enhances goal attainment by providing rewards, such as whenever you clean out all your tables and do your cut work, that you're allowed to leave. Um, he's very patient and cool with people that he can trust and be easygoing with. His view of leadership, I would say, is very similar to path goal theory whenever we sat down and I described it to him. Um, he wants to encourage people to be the best that they can be. So, like, whenever we're at work and he sees that people don't want to be there or we're really slow, he doesn't want to waste anyone's time. So, yeah, if the restaurant's dead and there's a first cut, he'll say, you know what, like, you're cut. I'm not trying to keep you here any longer than you need to be. So, and then when you're cut, that means that you can begin your cut work, and you're no longer taking any more tables. You're just taking care of the ones that you already have. And then once you close out all your tables, then you do your cut work, do all the side work, and stuff like that. And then when I asked Joel where he kind of got like his theory of leadership from, he kind of told me that he kind of just developed it himself. He learned it more so once he became a manager, because he said that he wasn't sure how or like what kind of leader he thought he would be. So he was like, I kind of just figured it out once I became a manager, because I wasn't sure how the employees were going to react to me, or I was going to react to them, or whether or not they would respect me or not. So that's just kind of how that he went about it. Um, when I asked him whether or not he thought his gender upbringing affected like how he became a leader or not, he said that he was never really one to look at gender being a factor. That he wasn't raised that way. He was always raised to respect women, but not necessarily treat them like they're different. He believes as a whole he connects with employees pretty well. He was a regular at Mellow before he was actually an employee. He was a regular at the Kennesaw store when I also worked at the Kennesaw store. And then he became um, an employee there. And then I think he trained as a manager there, but he wasn't a full on manager until he came over to West Cobb. So when he started working at Mellow, it was a little interesting for me. I was like, this is weird. Like, there's a regular actually like working at Mellow now, but I think it was like nice for him because he already knew a couple of the people. So he got to know a couple of the people at Kennesaw before he went over to West Cobb. And so by the time he got over to West Cobb, he had already got to know them not only on like a customer employee basis, but also as an employee basis, because he now also worked at Mellow. Looking at my notes. When I asked him about practical day-to-day issues, he sort of laughed a little bit. He wouldn't say that there's necessarily a ton of daily issues, but they more so come in spurts. For instance, when like most people call in and say that they're going to be late, or if someone calls out, or if someone doesn't do all of their side work, just like small stuff more so. Like he didn't say it was like anything like major or anything. Like he's never had to deal with any big problems. When I asked him about his ethical responsibilities, he said making sure no funny business is going on. Oh, I'm sorry. Just taking a video. Do you want me to move?
No. Can I pass?
Yeah.
No, it's okay. No. I just didn't want to step over you.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah. Just be careful. That's if they come from there. Not like sitting there. Okay. All right.
He also has to give paychecks and, oh no, he doesn't do paychecks, owners deal with paychecks. But his ethical responsibility is to pay out everyone before they leave the restaurant. Paychecks are for the owners. He also needs to make sure no harassment is going on while he's managing. And his advice was for me to always be true to myself, and that if I was to be a leader one day, that I would need to figure out my own style of leadership and do whatever works for me. So, sorry for that awkward interruption. But yes, that was my interview with my manager.